February is American Heart Month, and the American Heart Association is pushing heart health. According to Executive Director Michelle Anderson, heart disease is the #1 cause of death in the country. West Virginians are particularly at risk due to factors like higher rates of obesity, tobacco use, diabetes, and high blood pressure. Anderson says heart disease does not discriminate and can happen to anyone.
Your heart health always needs to be on your forefront. A healthy heart starts, like we like to say, in childhood. So starting these healthy habits early is really, really important. And it doesn't discriminate. Heart disease can affect anyone at any time.
Our Logan Riggenbaugh will have more about American Heart Month later tonight.